Conjugation is like a code that tells us when something happened. It's about changing verbs to match the subject and the time of the action. Why is this important? Because it helps us tell stories and share experiences in a way that makes sense. Imagine saying, I go to the park yesterday. It just sounds wrong, doesn't it? That's where conjugation comes in. By using the correct verb form, we can say, I went to the park yesterday, and everyone understands what we mean. In this essay, we'll unlock the secrets of past tense conjugation, making those tricky verb changes a piece of cake. Get ready to impress your friends and colleagues with your newfound grammar skills. Let's dive in. The simple past tense is our go-to for talking about actions completed in the past. It's like the workhorse of past tenses, used most often in everyday speech and writing. The good news is that it's also one of the simplest to form. For regular verbs, we just add ed to the base form of the verb. For example, walk becomes walked, talk becomes talked, and jump becomes jumped. Easy, right? But what about irregular verbs? They like to play by their own rules. Instead of adding ed, they often change their spelling completely. Think of verbs like go, went, eat, ate, or see, saw. Don't worry though, you don't need to memorize a million irregular verbs. With a little practice and exposure, you'll start to recognize these common irregular forms naturally. The key is to pay attention to them as you read and listen to English. Remember, the simple past tense is our trusty friend for talking about finished actions in the past. It's the foundation of past tense storytelling, so mastering it is a huge step towards fluency. The past continuous tense, also known as the past progressive tense, adds a bit more flavor to our past tense narratives. While the simple past tells us what happened, the past continuous paints a picture of actions that were in progress at a specific time in the past. The formula for this tense is pretty straightforward. Was, were plus the present participle, verb plus ing. So, walk transforms into was walking or were walking, depending on the subject. Was pairs up with singular subjects like I, he, she, and it. Were, on the other hand, is used with plural subjects like we, you, and they. For example, imagine you were reading a book last night at 8 p.m. You could say, I was reading a book at 8 p.m. last night. This tells us that the action of reading was in progress at that specific time. The past continuous is also great for setting the scene in stories. Instead of just saying the sun shone, we can create a more vivid picture by saying the sun was shining brightly as the birds sang in the trees. Now let's step into the world of the past perfect tense. This tense might sound a bit intimidating at first, but it's actually quite logical once you understand its purpose. It's all about talking about an action that happened before another action in the past. Think of it as the past before the past. The structure is simple, had plus the past participle of the verb. So finish becomes had finished, eat becomes had eaten, and go becomes had gone. Easy, right? Let's say you're recounting your day. I had already finished my homework by the time my friend called. Here we understand that finishing the homework happened before the friend called. The past perfect clearly shows the order of events. This tense is especially useful in complex sentences where we want to clarify the sequence of past actions. It helps avoid confusion and ensures the listener or reader understands which event occurred first. Section 5. Exploring the past perfect continuous tense. The past perfect continuous tense is the grand finale of our past tense journey. This tense is a bit of a mouthful, both in terms of its name and its structure, but it serves a very specific purpose. It's used to describe an action that was ongoing in the past before another action in the past. It's like the past continuous tense, but with an extra layer of pastness added in. To form this tense, we use the following formula. Had been plus the present participle, which is the verb, plus ing. So study becomes had been studying, play becomes had been playing, and work becomes had been working. For example, imagine you were explaining why you were tired yesterday. You could say, I was tired yesterday because I had been studying for my exam all night. This tells us that the action of studying was ongoing before the past state of being tired. While the past perfect continuous might not be as common as the other past tenses, it's a valuable tool for adding detail and precision to your writing and speech. It allows you to paint a vivid picture of past events and their duration, making your storytelling more engaging and nuanced. Section 6. The nuances of irregular past participles. As we've seen, past participles are essential building blocks for several past tenses. While regular verbs make it easy by simply adding irregular verbs like to keep things interesting, they often have unique past participles that don't follow the usual rules. For instance, the past participle of go isn't goed, but gone. Similarly, eat transforms into eaten, and see becomes seen. These irregular forms require a bit of memorization, but there are some patterns and groupings that can make the process easier. A helpful tip is to learn irregular verbs in context. Instead of just memorizing lists, try using them in sentences and stories. This will help you internalize their forms more naturally. Remember, mastering irregular past participles is crucial for accurate and natural-sounding English. Don't be afraid to embrace the quirks of these verbs. With practice and patience, you'll become fluent in their irregular ways. Section 7. Choosing the right past tense. With so many past tenses to choose from, it can be tricky to know which one to use in different situations. The key is to think about the relationship between the actions you want to describe and the time frame you're working with. If you're talking about a single completed action in the past, the simple past is your go-to tense. For actions that were in progress at a specific time in the past continuous is the perfect choice. When you need to highlight an action that happened before another action in the past perfect comes into play. And if you want to describe an action that was ongoing before another action in the past perfect continuous is your best bet. The best way to get comfortable with choosing the right past tense is through practice. Pay attention to how past tenses are used in books, movies, and conversations. The more you expose yourself to different contexts, the more natural it will become to select the appropriate tense. Section 8. Common mistakes and how to avoid them. Even seasoned English speakers can stumble over past tense conjugation from time to time. Some common pitfalls include using the wrong past participle, mixing up was and were in the past continuous, and misusing the past perfect. One way to avoid these errors is to be mindful of the base form of the verb and its irregular forms. It's also crucial to pay attention to subject-verb agreement, especially in the past continuous tense. Another helpful tip is to read your writing aloud. This can help you catch any awkward phrasing or incorrect verb forms that your eyes might have missed. Don't be afraid to ask for feedback from teachers, tutors, or language partners. Remember, making mistakes is a natural part of the learning process. The key is to identify and correct them, gradually improving your accuracy and fluency over time. Section 9. Summary: Mastering the past. Congratulations on completing this journey through the world of past tense conjugation. You've learned about the simple past continuous, past perfect, and past perfect continuous tenses. You've explored the intricacies of irregular past participles and discovered how to choose the right tense for different situations. Remember, the key to mastering any language skill is practice. Don't be afraid to experiment with different past tenses in your writing and conversations. The more you use them, the more confident and fluent you'll become. Keep practicing, and soon you'll be effortlessly navigating the past, expressing yourself with clarity and precision.